Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we will be attempting something completely insane on this show. We're going to be doing a project that I came up with this past week called the Pixar Character Hall of Fame. I'll explain that in a little bit, and I'll talk more about what else we're going to do in the episode. But I first wanted to share some pretty devastating news, some pretty sad news. Connor and I worked at Alamo Drafthouse for a while together. That's where we met. And we worked at one of the San Antonio locations. And there was this guy named Art who worked there. And we're recording this on Friday night. And early Thursday morning, Art passed away what I've gathered from hearing stories is that it was a car accident, and I don't want to share too much about what all happened because I'm not totally sure. I just heard from another friend that was really close with him that also worked at Drafthouse, and needless to say, the Alamo Drafthouse family in San Antonio is very devastated. And I didn't know him that well, but gosh, he had an impact on people, and was one of those guys who, even if you didn't have like a deep conversation with or anything like that, you just kind of knew he was a hard fucking worker and really cared about that place and how things went, and kind of carrying a certain standard with Alamo Drafthouse, and was one of the people that I felt represented what it was to actually work there. While some people are just there to get a paycheck, some people are proud of working there. And so I wanted to shout him out. Rest in peace to him, to Art. And, my thoughts are definitely with his family and with the people that were really close to him. So very sad news.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody I encountered during my time at Alamo Drafthouse left a mark on me in one way or another, even if I didn't know them that well. And there are a lot of people there I wish I had known better.
Yeah.
And, I'm always sad to hear when a piece of that is gone. So definitely my thoughts to his family, and rest in peace, Art.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I did gather from him and from the small conversations I had with him was he's a very big anime fan, very big animated fan, huge Pokemon fan, just kind of had this inner kid inside of him that couldn't be, he couldn't resist. So we're gonna have some fun here doing a Pixar Hall of Fame and talking about Coco later on in the show from 2017, an incredible film. So this one's for Art for sure, and we're gonna have a lot of fun here and try to have some celebration, right? Coco was up for 2 Oscars at the 90th Academy Awards and actually snagged them both, Best Animated Feature Film and Best Original Song. So this is a film that I truly believe should have been up for Best Picture. 2017 is not the best year for the Best Picture nominees, and that's the year that Shape of Water won. I think there's movies, including Shape of Water, that you could replace with Coco, and I think it's a stronger film than about half of the films in that category. So I'm excited to talk about this one, man. I know it's like probably, I think I have it number 6 in my Pixar rankings, but I know for you it's like number 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's constantly flipping. I knew this was going to be special about 5 minutes into the movie the first time I watched it, but I'll never forget just having my heart opened like that and just feeling so much connection to this movie and just sobbing in my apartment watching this amazing work of art that had escaped me for years. And ever since then, I've been, a strong advocate of this movie. I adore it. It was an instant 10, which never fucking happens to me. And I am so glad we're doing it here tonight. I mean, this is it's a powerful film.
Hell yeah. You know what's really cool about this instant 10 for you is it has in its cast Gael Garcia Bernal, and one of my instant 10s was Y Tu Mama Tambien, and he's one of the stars of that movie. So I feel like this kind of Latino fucking connection of instant 10s with me and you. Yeah, it's a fucking stellar movie, and I remember seeing it in theaters actually while working at Draft House. This is one of the first major movies I worked there, because I worked there from like October of 2017 all the way to October of 2018. I worked there for about a year, and this movie came out in late 2017, and just, you know, there's fucking families and kids everywhere, you know, at the theater trying to see this movie. And you know, it caught my eye, and I sat down and watched it one day, and I was like, holy shit, this is, you know, this is some grade A Pixar stuff. And then, you know, I have a daughter. She's 3 now, and pretty much her entire 3 years on this earth, she's been into Coco. The colors, the songs, you know, kind of the pace of it. So it's really cool that, you know, a 3-year-old can really enjoy this film, while also myself at 27 can just be completely fucking pulverized by its story and by what it kind of is going for and what it means. So yeah, man, we're gonna lock into Coco later on. We're gonna look at the 90th Academy Awards, give our own awards out to Coco. But this idea, this Pixar Character Hall of Fame idea, you're probably the only person that's crazy enough to do this with me on a podcast. So I was like, let's use this opportunity to just fucking shine a light on Pixar characters. So my idea here is I'll kind of explain before we get into it. Luca, which came out last year, was the 24th Pixar film. If you're listening to this on Sunday when it comes out, this episode, Turning Red is already out. It's available on Disney Plus. That's the 25th, and then later this year, Lightyear comes out, right? So that'll be the 26th. We're not counting those. Those do not count in this project. Again, we're recording this on Friday night. I have not seen Turning Red yet, and of course, we have not seen Lightyear. So those don't count. Maybe later on down the line, we'll include them at some point in the future. But for now, it's just the first 24. So it's from Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Cars 3, Coco, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Onward, and Soul, and Luca. So 24 films, and Jesus Christ, just naming those off, there's like 10 of them that are fucking standout, phenomenal films. I want to look at all of these, all 24 of them, and figure out of those 24, what are the most impactful and standout characters from those films. And it's going to be called the Pixar Character Hall of Fame. Now, we can only have 24 characters because there's 24 films. I want to cut it off at some point, right? So that there's some kind of exclusivity to it, right? That does not mean that every movie has to be represented. Then we would just have one character from each movie, and that ain't fucking happening. You know, there's a couple movies like fucking Toy Story, you know, that's going to have more than one, right? So some films won't have any. Some films will have multiple. It's about Connor and I coming to a mutual agreement on what 24 characters mean the most to Pixar's legacy. Who belongs in that pantheon? So, do you, Connor, understand the task at hand here?
I believe so. I think this is going to be harder than it sounds, especially when we get further into the catalog here.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, I know you made kind of a master list, and so did I. I think you have around, what is it, 50?
A little over, about 52 characters.
And I have 72 that I wrote down. So we've got a huge pool here of characters we both wrote down. Obviously, we're trying to come to an agreement. So we're going to try to narrow that down to 24 characters that we can, at the end of the day, live with, go to bed, and be okay with who goes into the Pixar Hall of Fame, Character Hall of Fame. Well, I think we should do this chronologically and start with Toy Story. Who do you have that should be a part of the Hall of Fame here from Toy Story?
Okay, obviously, Woody and Buzz Lightyear are the poster boys for this Hall of Fame. They're the original Pixar characters. Everybody loves them. So obviously, Woody and Buzz.
100%. They both are. Honestly, I think they're the first two names that most people would think of.
Yeah, for sure. So outside of them, I only have two other characters from Toy Story. I have Mr. Potato Head, and I have Ham.
Okay. I also wrote down Mr. Potato Head and Ham. I also wrote down Slinky Dog, Rex, and Sergeant. Sergeant played Arlie Emery, one of the best. I'm very okay with parting ways with any of them. I do think Mr. Potato Head is probably the third best character from that original Toy Story film. So do you want to go ahead and pencil in Potato Head as a maybe?
Yeah, for sure. I forgot Slinky. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah. So Mr. Potato Head, Ham, and Slinky are maybes.
Okay.
But that's already fucking 5. Yeah. See, yeah. This is the game that we play. We're trying to narrow it down to 24, and we've already got 5 from one film. So, Toy Story is my favorite Pixar film. I don't see how it could be beat. And I think for you, it's right there at the tippy top.
Yeah, it's my favorite. If I'm gonna answer, like, if I have 5 seconds to answer that question, it's gonna be Toy Story.
Yeah, me too. It came out the year we were born, right? It's just literally been with us our whole lives. So yeah, it's just a big deal. 1998, A Bug's Life. Who do you got?
Obviously Flick. He's a hero. He's an inventor. He wants the best. Everyone looks down on him for being smart and thinking outside the box. I love characters who think outside the box. I have Hopper, one of the scariest villains Disney ever did. Fucking grasshopper, terrified. Yeah. I have Frances, the ladybug.
Okay, I like Frances. That's Dennis Leary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I like Frances. I wrote down Molt, Richard Kind.
Molt.
Shutting up. Yeah, I love Molt. I'm willing to part with any A Bug's Life characters except for Hopper. I think Hopper is like 100% in the Hall of Fame. He is one of the best villains from any Disney movie ever. Kevin Spacey, just so fucking scary. There's bits where he's like, it's about keeping those ants in line. He's just like a genius, kind of like dictator type character who has to be here. He's so scary.
But he also dishes out some pretty decent advice. First rule of management: everything is your fault. Like that's good leadership, but for the wrong reasons. I also have Heimlich.
I love Heimlich. I like all of those. I like what's his name? The walking stick. What is his?
I don't remember the character's name, but yes,
I love Manny, the praying mantis. I think he's great. Yeah, I think a lot of those kind of side characters in I love A Bug's Life. It's like definitely in my top 5. I adore A Bug's Life. I had so many A Bug's Life toys growing up. It was fucking silly. I had this like, not just toys, but I had this like base that was this. It was like if you had a fucking dollhouse. Well, I had that for A Bug's Life, where it was like just this outdoor type thing that I just sat in my room, and I had all these fucking toys that I played with. I was obsessed with A Bug's Life, and I still am. So do you think Hopper's the only shoe-in, or is Flick also a shoe-in?
I think Hopper's the only shoe-in.
I agree.
Flick is a good character, but also a template of what's to come, and I think Pixar has done it better.
I agree. I think Flick is fine. I think he's a decent, this is their second film, right? And you're following up Toy Story. So yeah, it's hard to make like a Woody or a Buzz again, but there is no Hopper in Toy Story. This is where they're like, okay, we're going to make our villains fucking frightening. And they did a good job. So, okay. So let's go Hopper for sure and Flick as a maybe.
Okay.
All right. And then we love you, Molt. We love you, Heimlich. We love you, Francis. But
you know what? I want to put Molt down as a maybe as well.
Okay. Yeah, Molt's great. And Richard Kind, you will be back, my friend. You will be back in this list. Just give us, let's see, give us 17 years. We'll talk about you soon. Toy Story 2, 1999.
Yeah. So this, I wrote down the most characters from this movie. I doubt any of these are going to make it into our master list, but I want to talk about them anyway. Jessie to start.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I love that.
Huge. Yeah.
Well, I love that she's not just a female Woody. Like she's an actually fleshed out character with her own fears and her own past. And I love that her character is whole. Then there's the prospector, who's
love the prospector
villain with like an actual like decent reason for being a villain. Which I like, just being abandoned for your entire life will fuck you up. Then I have Bullseye the horse, because I just love Bullseye.
Yeah, I do too.
Fucking Al, the toy collector.
So I have three written down. I have Jessie, the prospector, and Al. I mean, Al is fucking hilarious. I can't believe on my day off I have to drive to work. And he goes across the street.
My favorite is at the end of the movie when he has to make the commercial after they lost the toys and he is super depressed.
Yeah.
Come on down to Al's Toy Barn. Wayne Knight's one of my favorite actors of all time. I love him to death. So he's just hilarious. Zurg.
Zurg's a good villain. Yeah.
Loved meeting Zurg, especially when he just kind of gave up on being Zurg and decided to be Buzz Lightyear's dad. And then my final character is, I'm calling him Buzz 2.
Yeah.
Which is
the
evil, well, not evil, but like brainwashed Buzz Lightyear they encounter in the Al's Toy Barn and just assume it's their Buzz because they're kind of idiots.
I like that a lot. I think that's hilarious. That part of the film I think is really, really smart. And it was only a matter of time before they had the reveal of, oh, look at all these other Buzz Lightyear toys. And they are going to act like Buzz did in the first movie at the beginning, where he thinks he's actually shooting a laser out of his arm. Just so good. The idea of Buzz is so good, and I can't wait for the new film, Lightyear. I love that world. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I love that bit when Buzz meets Crazy Buzz, and Crazy Buzz has the laser on him, and Buzz is just like, I don't have time for this, and just tries to leave, and the guy's like, halt! Like it's so great. It's nice seeing him on the other side of that after Toy Story.
Yeah, like Buzz Lightyear, our Buzz, Tim Allen is like, you're a fucking toy. It's so good. All right, so which of those are for sures and maybes? Are they all maybes for you, or are they? What are they? For you?
I think we keep Jessie for sure.
I agree.
And everyone else is a maybe.
I think Jessie is massive for. This is the first female character we've talked about so far. So it's just a big deal to have someone like that for representation's sake, and like you said, is actually like a really good character. Has the saddest moment in all of Toy Story 2 when we go back and see kind of how it happened for her, how her toy life happened with her owner. And you just have that really sad song playing, So Jessie's great, and she's fun as hell. Voiced extremely well by Joan Cusack. So yeah, I like Jessie a lot. I think she belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Cool.
Yeah, Toy Story, love it. We'll be back to Toy Story in 11 years. Monsters Inc. 2001. This one I have 6.
Very nice. I have 5.
Okay, let's see. I have, of course, Mike and Sully.
Yeah, guaranteed.
I have Randall. I mean, come on, Randall's amazing. Randall's like a character out of a fucking Coen Brothers movie, right? You got Steve Buscemi. Boo is a legend. One of the kids' favorites, right? And then I have Waternoose and Roz.
I didn't put Waternoose, but everyone you just named, I have.
Okay, so Mike, Sully, and Randall are in.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's such a good trio of characters.
Randall, what a slimy, two-faced bastard. Pixar's villain catalog is great.
Yes, yeah, they kick it off like bam, just like that, because the first Toy Story you have Sid, right, and he's a human being who's just a complete asshole, and then they realize I think that it's probably better to keep the villains within, maybe not better, but it's like more effective for kids especially, and it's going to like be able to teach them more if the villain is like within the same world, same realm as the main characters. So like, Hopper is a grasshopper against ants, the prospector is a toy, and Zurg is a toy, Randall's a monster just like Mike and Sully. So it just kind of makes sense that, and Waternoose is definitely a villain at times. So he gets real evil, and yeah, the movie's amazing. I love Monsters Inc. Also, probably in my top 5 still. I had a lot of toys from that movie too.
I had a Sully and I had a Waternoose.
I had this real cool like Randall action figure that I was obsessed with as a kid, and then I had a Sully, like one of those big ones that talk to you. You pressed his hand, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Sully," and it's fucking John Goodman, like so cool.
I think I had mostly like McDonald's Happy Meals toys that just were Pixar. They used to do that a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely collected those. Yeah, out the wazoo. Okay, before we move on to Finding Nemo, so it's Mike, Sully, and Randall.
Yes.
Are there any maybes? Is Boo a maybe? Is
Boo, I feel like needs to be a maybe. She's such an iconic character and such an important part of that movie.
Yeah,
I love Roz. I don't know.
And I like, Roz is hilarious. I love the connection that Boo, a lot of people think that Boo is the witch in Brave. That those are possibly the same person, because at one point in Brave, you see she has one of the doors that looks like it's from Monsters Inc. in her like fucking workshop, and she has like a little sculpture of Sully on her desk. She has a sculpture of Pizza Planet on her desk, and you're like, all right, this lady's clearly been to other places other than where we're at in Brave. And maybe the whole time she was trying to build that door to get back to Sully. I don't know. I think that's a cool thought. Doesn't mean she needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's a cool thought.
The Pixar theory that like connects all these movies is fucking crazy, but makes a weird amount of sense at times. So I don't know if I want to endorse that, but it's definitely worth reading.
Yeah, that's Andrew Negroni, absolute genius, came up with the Pixar theory, has a book that you can buy. And initially it was an article, and he was like, wait a minute, I think I really have something here. And it's eerie how they kind of interconnect, but I wouldn't put it past Pixar, right? They're geniuses. So, all right. Finding Nemo. I have 4 written down.
I have 6.
Okay.
But some of them are just goofy that don't really need to be in the Hall of Fame, but just shout outs.
Yeah, I have 4, but only 2 of them I'm like, I'm gonna go to bat for. So who do you have?
Marlin and Dory are the sure things.
They're pretty huge. Yeah. Yeah.
I have Nemo because I love a story about a kid, kind of becoming a man in a way. I love that kind of story. Pixar does that a lot. I have Bruce the Shark.
Bruce is great.
The idea of vegan sharks and then just being triggered by the smell of blood. It's such a cool scene.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It turns into a horror movie like that.
The Alcoholics Anonymous, like, we are fish are friends, not food. Yeah.
I have Gil, Defoe's character, the leader of the fish tank.
Gil, in my opinion, Gil is like a surefire thing. I think Gil is one of the best supporting characters in any Pixar movie. Just Willem Dafoe. Come on. He does Spider-Man and does Finding Nemo back to back. Get this guy a fucking, award.
And then finally, just because he makes me laugh, I have Bubbles.
I like Bubbles. I think you'll find this funny. My last one is Nigel.
Oh yeah, Nigel.
Oh, Nigel. Yeah, he's so funny. But I'm willing to part with that one. I think, yeah, Marlin and Dory, even though I'm not a huge fan of Dory, Marlin's in. Marlin's one of my favorite movie dads of all time. I love Marlin. I love the clownfish, how he doesn't know how to actually tell a joke. I like how he's a single dad, just trying to figure shit out with Nemo, loses him, and just goes on this epic journey. I love Finding Nemo, man. Fucking movie ruins me. But I think my favorite character from the movie is Gil, though. Like Gil, I just got to go to bat for Gil. I fucking love him.
Yeah, I'll back that up. Do you think Finding Nemo is Pixar's darkest film?
That's tough. I think depending on how you look into them, yeah, I think Finding Nemo is like really tough. I think Up is really tough.
Yeah.
I think Wally's really tough. Inside Out, how it goes there. I think Inside Out and Coco go there, like go to pretty crazy places. And I think Soul is like, whoa, it's just kind of fucking out there. But that's some of their best stuff, is when they're willing to kind of break that barrier and go from kids film to just straight drama. But yeah, Finding Nemo has the darkest opening. I think Up has the saddest opening, but Finding Nemo has the, like a million baby fish like just get murdered or at the beginning of the movie, and you're left with father and son, and it's just uber dark. And the music is one of the most underrated parts of Finding Nemo. When Nemo gets taken and Marlin starts swimming after the boat, the music that's playing right there is like it's like ingrained in my brain. And I highly respect that film.
I'm sure we'll do Finding Nemo on this show at some point. It's I would love to revisit it with that mindset, because it's been a long time since I've actually sat down and watched Finding Nemo.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan. So yeah, and I can't wait for you to see it again. I've seen it so many times. It's probably the one I've seen the second most behind the Toy Story films. And Monsters Inc. I've watched Monsters Inc. over and over. I love it. All right, so Marlin, Dory, Gil, those are going to be up for the Hall of Fame here. The Incredibles. Here we go. I really tried to hold myself back on this one. I wrote down two that to me are like just iconic, and that's Frozone and Syndrome.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight you on that. Syndrome is the most evil psychotic that Pixar's ever created. That guy is dangerous and a legitimate like threat to humanity. He's a brilliant villain with a killer backstory. It's like if Robin became a psycho. It's awesome. I love the way Syndrome is written. Just he's killed. I think he's got the highest body count of any Pixar villain, except maybe that Barracuda.
And human body count. Yeah.
He scares me. Like Syndrome legitimately scares me.
Yeah, we did The Incredibles on the show. We both gave Jason Lee the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for best vocal performance from the movie, because his stuff as Syndrome is truly frightening. And we've also mentioned just last week, we mentioned how The Incredibles is a part of that superhero genre, like rejuvenation. It's one of the movies that gave it this respect that this kind of a film can make a shit ton of money, not just because it's Pixar, because it's really fucking good and it can win awards, and it can be something that people talk about for now almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie. It's such a cool story. It's so dark. The characters are vibrant, and it had every opportunity to coast, and it didn't take it. It could have just been, like some generic shit, but it went really hard into character development and a good story. And I admire the shit out of that. Even the worst Pixar movie, you can tell so much work is put into it. And I love that with them. I mean, Disney sometimes, but Pixar specifically, they have something, like they have the best in every department. I don't know what it is, but I look forward to Pixar movies. I don't always look forward to Disney movies.
Well said. That is well said.
So yeah, Syndrome's a guarantee. Frozone, I love, just the best friend, and Sam Jackson's the fucking man. I love Frozone. I have the whole Incredible family, but I'm willing to cut the kids, but I want to go to bat for Bob and Helen.
Okay. Bob and Helen. And Helen is incredible in the second one because she's kind of the main character. So she's basically the only one I have from that one. So I'm definitely down to put Bob. I'm definitely down to put Syndrome, Bob, Helen, and then Frozone as a maybe.
Sweet. Surprised neither of us had Edna.
Edna's great, and I thought about her too. It's hard. It's like, holy shit, they have like over 100 good characters, like well-written characters in 24 movies. That's kind of the point of the exercise. It's just kind of, you realize how special it is when you do something like this.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm down with that.
Okay. Oh man, yeah, Syndrome. He belongs. He's like one of my first picks. Yeah, he's great. All right, 2006 Cars. What do you got?
All right. So to prep for this thing, I finally finished off my Pixar list. I watched the 4 I still had to watch, and I will go to bat for the Cars trilogy. Those are fun, entertaining movies that aren't trying to change the world. They're not Oscar winners. They're just fun movies about cars being cars. And I got no beef with that. So I would watch them again. I enjoyed watching these. I have 2 characters from Cars, Lightning McQueen and Doc Hudson.
Okay, yeah. Lightning McQueen is, Cars is huge with, we were 11 when that came out, and I was starting to get into that phase where I'm like, I don't know about this. This is kind of for little kids. You're like, you think you're older than you are. So I wasn't crazy about Cars. But Doc Hudson, I mean, come on. we got the man himself, Mr. Paul Newman. One of the last things he did before he died, right? So he passed away, I believe, in 2008. And this character is incredible, Doc Hudson. But Lightning McQueen is the face of a trilogy, of a proper franchise that made millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I think McQueen, if we're doing this strictly on who I love, it might look a little different. But if we're trying to make a Pixar representative Hall of Fame, I think Lightning McQueen probably has to be there. And then I think Doc has something to say. I'm going to put him down as a maybe for now, just because we're fucking racking him up. But he's my favorite character from the whole trilogy is Doc Hudson.
I found out something really cool about Cars 3 recently. Doc is in that movie, and Paul Newman has dialogue. Apparently, when they were filming Cars, Paul Newman would just wax poetically about race car driving because he was a race car driver in his spare time, and he would talk about like the thrill of the game, and that was all recorded in the booth. So they were able to use that to craft new dialogue for Doc Hudson. And it's so cool because it's not Doc talking in Cars 3. It's Paul Newman talking about how much he loves racing. And it's so cool. Just knowing that adds a whole new layer to this film. That was just mind blowing.
Yeah, that's badass. You know what? I might have to revisit Cars 3 just because of that. That good call. Good shout out. We, of course, on Oscar Sunday, we fucking love Paul Newman here. The definition of cool. So, yeah, I adore that guy. It's always fun to talk about him. I think with the kids, Mater is a big deal, but I think Mater is where the Cars movie is like, okay, like he pissed in what? He did what in a cup? It's just kind of like, okay, Larry the Cable Guy, really? Like, that's where it kind of goes over the edge of like, this is so fucking silly, this like tow truck, this like tow truck from the Boondocks. Like, what is this? Who is this guy?
I'll say it here. I can't fucking stand Larry the Cable Guy. So a character voiced by Larry the Cable Guy ain't gonna win over me. So Mater is for me the most irritating character Pixar's ever created. So no, I'm not going to bat for Mater.
Okay, I'm totally okay with that. 2007. Probably the most underrated Pixar movie in my opinion. Ratatouille, just epic and such a gorgeous film. I only have 3 characters, but it's not so much the characters that like make me fall in love with Ratatouille. It is the unbelievable animation. I think Pixar just fucking went to a different level with Ratatouille and how breathtaking it is. Mine are Remy, of course. I have Ego. I think Ego is a great kind of interesting type kind of villain in the movie to be here. And then Skinner, Ian Holm, always have to mention Ian Holm when we can.
Ratatouille is such a delightful film. It's because of my family loves food, and my mom is a a great cook. So films about food always remind me of my family. And Ratatouille is a favorite here. It's so vibrant. It's so like just entertaining. The music is beautiful. The story is engaging. I love Ratatouille.
Yeah, it's great.
I have Remy. I have Linguini. I like him. I like this kind of doofus who figures out what he's good at. I love that. And then I have Gusteau. I love the ghost of Gusteau just following Remy around, giving him advice. And I love Brad Garrett. So there's
me too. Brad Garrett also plays what is it? Is it Dim in A Bug's Life? What's his name? Is it Dim?
The beetle, right?
Yeah, the beetle. I think it's Dim, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think that's his name. He also plays the puffer fish in Finding Nemo.
Yeah, there you go.
He's one of Pixar's guys.
Brad Garrett, one of the more underrated guys when it comes to Pixar, I would say. Okay, so it looks like Remy is the only surefire one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's totally fair. You know, Remy's great. I mean, Patton Oswalt. You know, who would have thought?
I do. Anton Ego though is such an interesting kind of villain because he's not a bad person. He's just so jaded.
Yeah,
and I love the idea of just a guy being reawakened by someone else's passion, because that's happened to me so many times with you guys. So I love that idea of just you can meet somebody whose passion even dwarfs your own, and it gives you a zest that you had forgotten you had. That's an amazing feeling. And Ratatouille captures that so well.
Definitely. Good shout. I think Ego is also something that Pixar has dealt with just by making these movies, and they're being really popular, making a lot of money. They've, of course, dealt with, there's going to be people who are like, not for me. And that's critics and movie critics. And so to put kind of a food critic in the movie, I thought was a really smart thing to do, to be like, look, we can change anyone's mind because we're fucking Pixar. And I think that was kind of some symbolism that Pixar was very self-aware at the time of what they were. You know, this is 2007. This is 12 years after Toy Story comes out, you know, in movie number 8. So they're well on their way to becoming who they are now. So really cool.
Well, and I think that was probably a direct response to Cars, which was not as critically successful as everything else they've done. I'm sure people were like, Pixar's lost their touch or something. So Ratatouille was like, no, we haven't. And here's why.
Yeah. And then this is what they do the year after. Fucking WALL-E, the most like, what on earth is this fucking sci-fi Pixar film that is showing what could be our future? you know, it is kind of a scary film. I really, really like WALL-E. It's one that I haven't seen enough, I don't think, you know, because it's not the easiest to watch, but it is very good. I know my sister-in-law, this is her favorite Pixar movie of all time, and then my other brother's girlfriend, it's her favorite Pixar movie of all time. So I know people who are obsessed with WALL-E and think that it's the best they have to offer. For me, it is very good, but I only have one character here that I think that should be here, and I think it's WALL-E.
WALL-E is Pixar's ode to silent film. I think it has that pre-talky kind of comedy vibe. And I am honestly surprised we're not all just super fat and in our own like mobility chairs with an endless Slurpee cup. Like, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. But we're getting there. It's going to happen in my lifetime. I know it. I can't wait.
Give me that Slurpee cup. Let's go.
It's not giving up if everybody gives up.
It's just what we do.
Yeah, exactly. I have WALL-E, of course, but I also have Eve.
Eve is great. I have no problem putting her here.
I love that. It's a love story of the ages. It's just, you know, there's no words exchanged. It's all action, and it's all just, you know, what you're willing to do for love. And I love that idea. Yeah, WALL-E has grown on me. I didn't like it the first time I watched it. I watched it again when we did our In Bruges episode, and I did really like it that time.
Yeah, it's very strong. I would love to do it on the show at some point. I'd love to do all of these on the show at some point, especially 2009's Up.
Oh boy,
yeah, Up is wonderful. Kind of like Ratatouille. I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous film and has a great story. The saddest intro, I think, to any Pixar film. Maybe not the darkest, but the saddest. And I don't have a bunch of characters here. I have two. I have our two main characters. It's Carl and Russell.
I love Up. I can't watch it without sobbing. It's too emotional. It's so good. One of my favorite scores ever. Michael Giacchino's Up score. I'm glad he won for that. It's so charming.
Yeah. And then talk about, he just did the Batman, what's up with this guy? What's wrong with him? Who
I'm
hurt
paying
him?
attention. He just signed on to direct a special for Marvel. So now he's a director.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Werewolf by Night. That's going to be him.
Nice.
Starring Gail Garcia Bernal.
Whoa. Sign me up. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in.
Fucking werewolf. It's going to be awesome. I have Carl. I love Carl. There's not enough movies with an old man protagonist, somebody who's just over it. We need more. We need more old people who don't give a fuck in leading a movie. I want to see that. I'm tired of these prophecy films where it's some young teenager or some 20-year-old girl. I want a prophecy to be like an 80-year-old man who is done, but has a call to action.
Oh yeah. No, I adore films. I especially adore films about some old guy who's like the Clint Eastwood trope where it's like, I'm past it, but not really. I've been there. Don't pull me back in, motherfucker. And then they get pulled back into life and they're like, shit, I actually kind of like this. Carl is wonderful. This guy who lives alone, has this dream, right? This dream that he has to fulfill that wasn't even just his, it was his wife's, right? And I have to say though, with Up, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Fucking, I think of that show when I watch Up because you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about because goddamn Charlie, there's that episode where they show the animation style of Charlie and all of his offspring. And so when I watch Up, I'm just like, I can't get Charlie Day out of my fucking head.
All the girls are waitresses. All the boys are janitors.
God damn it. They managed to make one of the saddest things ever just make me cackle like a little child. And It's Always Sunny. That's what they do, they just like to ruin anything that's just sentimental. They're like, fuck you. We're gonna spin it up on its head and you're gonna have to deal with it. That's what we get for watching.
It's fucking hilarious. Apart from Carl, I do have Doug. I love
Doug's
that
great.
dog. The idea of a talking dog has never been done as well as it was in Up, because that's exactly how a dog would sound if it could speak English.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. I hid under your porch because I love you. Like this.
Yeah. Just kind of like a, yeah.
This goofy dog. I love it. Up is special. I think Carl's got to be a for sure guy.
Yeah, Carl's the only shoe, and I think Doug and Russell could be maybes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man, this is too much fun. Toy Story 3, 2010, a movie that was up for Best Picture. Very effective movie. If you're born in the 80s or the 90s, this is just one of those theater moments where you remember looking at your friends and kind of like, should we hold hands? What's happening to our favorite characters of all time? Are they about to fucking catch on fire? Toy Story 3, I'll never forget it. It was a packed house. I remember being with three of my good buddies, and all three of us just fucking looked at what is about to happen. And it ends up being okay, right? But there is a slight moment there where you think you're about to see the darkest moment in any fucking film ever. So yeah, Toy Story 3 is great. I only have one character, and it's Lotso, Ned Beatty. Come on.
Lotso, what an evil character, but also with such a great tragic backstory.
Yes.
Like a comic book villain.
He is.
Yeah.
Lotso is a fucking Toy Story 3 is taking notes from, Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. They're like, hey, we see what y'all are doing. We're gonna do that. we're gonna take that to the next level and use Ned Beatty, like such a genius fucking, voice casting for him to be Lotso. I love Lotso. I love how he walks with a cane. so badass. He's this old bear that's beat up. Yeah, he to me is kind of a shoe-in type guy.
I love the cool hand Luke influence on Toy Story 3. Like there's such classic influences on that film. It's got such balls.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 3 is one of my favorites. And it was, it came out right around the time I was like nearing the end of high school. So college was on my mind. And just Toy Story kind of represented my childhood, like my whole life, 95 to 2010 is like my formative years. And it's like,
yeah,
shit, now Andy's going to college. When I'm going to college, everyone in my family got emotional. I was like thinking about shit. It was crazy. I remember that.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I also have Ken.
Michael Keaton. Yeah.
I will back Michael Keaton on any project he's ever done. I love that guy to death. And just the Ken and Barbie dynamic in this movie had me rolling. I love it. But I can understand cutting him. But Lotso is such a creative, imposing villain that I definitely think we should include him.
Okay, I like that. So Lotso, for sure, a lock, and Ken as a maybe. Michael Keaton, you have made the next round. Michael Keaton, that's all that matters. Cars 2, 2011. I have Mr. Michael Caine himself, Finn McMissile. Yeah,
I have nobody from Cars 2.
Okay, that's fair. I just wrote Finn down because I was trying to get someone down from every movie just for fun. And I was like, Michael Caine's pretty great. Yeah.
I didn't hate Cars 2. I liked it. I gave all 3 Cars films an 8.
Wow. Oh my God.
I know. I didn't expect incredible.
I got to rewatch these. Fuck.
If you just accept, like, you're not watching Toy Story, you're never going to watch Toy Story again. So let it go. A lot of these movies get better.
Yeah, you hold them up to a certain standard. And I think for sure at this time, seeing WALL-E in theaters, Up in theaters, Toy Story 3 in theaters, and you're like, how could it get any better or more fucking existential? And then Cars 2 comes out and you're like, oh, okay. But this one's for the kids.
But even that film has a great message of like, don't expect your friends to change for you. Like, love the reason you felt you wanted them in your life in the first place. That's great. That's a great lesson.
It is.
And then Cars 3 has, accept your limitations, realize when your time is over. Like, that's good shit.
I can't argue with you. Cars 2, I went to see in theaters with like a group of, it was one of those, I was 16 and I went with a bunch of people from my school to go see Cars 2 because we were like, yeah, why not? It's Pixar. Like, why not? Let's see what happens. There was probably 20 of us, all, I went to a small private school. So like there were kids that were 18, 17, 16, all the way down to like 14. It was like a big group of a bunch of people that just got along at that school. And me and my 2 like best friends in high school, Arnold and Chase, I love those 2 guys to death. We snuck out of Cars 2 and we walked across the hallway and caught Bridesmaids at the very beginning. I love Bridesmaids. I fucking love that movie. I think it was a really good decision, but I have seen Cars 2 since, and I probably need to revisit it.
Yeah, fair enough. And maybe my expectations were so low that I liked what I got.
Yeah, you've heard me just be like, whatever. They're whatever.
Not just you. I've heard everybody tell me Cars 2 was not worth it at all. So, I watched it just for completion's sake, and I was like, you know what? This isn't bad. But
I kind of like this. Yeah,
I could have done without the focus on Mater. I'm glad he's barely in Cars 3.
Yeah, that's true. Cars 3 also, we're going to get to it here in a little bit, but it came out the same year as Coco, and it's just like, fucking fuck off. It's just there's no comparison. Yeah. So no one from Cars 2. How about Brave, 2012?
I don't have anyone from Brave either. I did not like Brave.
Yeah, I only wrote down the witch just because of that Boo connection, but I'm not really going to put the witch in there. I'm not a huge fan of Brave. I think they missed a brilliant opportunity to make a really cool movie, from across the pond. They had a chance here to do something really unique, and I think they squandered it a bit. I've only seen this a couple times, and it's been a while, but I just don't really remember connecting with it at all.
like looking at how they celebrated, Mexican heritage with Coco, and Italian heritage with Luca, and jazz culture and soul. And the best they could do with Scottish culture is red hair, bow and arrow, and Ma is a bear. That's all they got.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem right for Pixar,
It's boring, it's predictable. It's a misfire. It's one of the few Pixar films I won't go back to. I don't like it.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. How about, I know you watched this one as well recently because you hadn't seen it, 2013's Monsters University.
Okay, so I don't have any characters from this either, but I did really like this.
It's decent. I think I gave it a 7. I think it's decent. Yeah.
Well, all the characters I like were the characters who were in Monsters Inc. So like, there's the Uzma Kappa guys, but they're funny, but not really like Hall of Fame funny. My favorite thing about this one was seeing Randall go from like really nice, like quirky roommate to complete asshole.
Yeah.
Just by taking his glasses off.
Yeah. I love Randall in both films. I do like, I think it's Helen Mirren who plays Hardscrabble. And then Alfred Molina plays Professor Knight, which is great. And then my favorite little bit in Monsters University is Bill Hader as the referee. Just genius fucking voice casting. But Monsters University, I saw that one in theaters in College Station, actually. So it was a bunch of college students at Texas A&M who were seeing the film. And they were like, oh, like I get it because, it's college. And I was just kind of like, this is okay. Compared to Monsters Inc., it's just night and day.
I'm not going to lie. When I was watching it the whole time, I'm like, I remember that. Orientation. Yeah, I remember freshman. Yeah, I remember that. So yeah, there is that element of it. Like college. I went to college. I remember that.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, they're relating to me. Yeah, that's hilarious. I love that. It was like Monsters University was like, okay, Monsters Inc. came out in 2001. So kids were probably 6, 7, 8 when they saw it. 12 years later, they're going to college or they're in college. Let's fucking nail that shit. And I just don't think they totally nailed it. I think it's decent, but I don't know. It's not one of my favorites.
Fair enough. It is a bit of a cash grab. But there is this element of heart that all of the Pixar films seem to have that I was able to relate to, of just, shoot for the moon, but also manage your expectations, realize that your dream may not work out the way you think it's going to work out, and accept that. And that's very good advice. Like, you need that. Otherwise you're going to end up miserable. And just seeing Mike and Sully's friendship grow was really neat. The whole bit when they're they end up in the human world and they have to escape the summer camp was really cool. So yeah, it's one I definitely go back to.
Hell yeah. That is an interesting one to kind of revisit after time passes. It's almost been 10 years already. So Monsters University, nothing here in the Hall of Fame though. 2014, nothing comes out for Pixar. Very rare that they skip a year. But they do here, and they come back very, very strong with Inside Out from 2015.
Oh my God. What a amazing film.
Yeah.
An incredible. I love that they're using this to teach kids on the spectrum about their emotions, which is amazing. I only have one character here, and it's Bing Bong.
Bing Bong is and if we were doing a draft, he would be one of my first 3, maybe even 2 picks. I think Bing Bong is Richard Kind. Here you are again, my friend. You were Molt one day, and now you're Bing Bong. Bing Bong is, I have a hard time talking about him. That's why he needs to be here. He's like so cool to put an imaginary friend in a film, and to be voiced that well, and to have that moment where he fucking sacrifices himself. Like, we'll save it for when we do an episode on Inside Out. I love Bing Bong's death. I also wrote down joy, fear, and anger, but I think Bing Bong's the only one that really deserves it.
Anger, because it's Lewis Black. Who better to play anger?
And fear is Bill Hader. Yeah, it's just like genius. The voice cat Amy Poehler as Joy. Like, God, how did they do this? How do they just nail this shit every goddamn time.
I remember when Inside Out came out, Draft House was doing one of those, don't talk during the movie PSAs with Lewis Black saying like, if you talk during the movie, I'm gonna have to put the foot down, and like just being an angry, crazy bastard that he is. I love Lewis Black. Yeah, Inside Out does such a brilliant job of teaching not just kids, but like everybody about what it really means to grow up, about what you have to put aside to move on to the next phase of your life and what you have to keep. And that's a hard lesson to learn. It's hard to, what you have to kind of leave behind. Damn, that movie. I've only seen it the one time because it affected me so much. I know if I watch it again, I'm going to fall apart.
Yeah, it's you know me, and this is on some days my number one movie, and on most days my number two. I adore Toy Story. That's hard to take away, but Inside Out is clearly my second favorite Pixar film. It just blew me away. Blew me away when I saw it in theaters, and I saw it in theaters again in the early stages of COVID in 2020. I went to a outdoor screen in New Braunfels, just about like 45 minutes away from here where I live, and just destroys me, absolutely annihilates me. I often think when I'm watching, here I am talking about Inside Out. I was trying to not go into too deep, but I'll just say my favorite thing about Inside Out, aside from Bing Bong being just incredible, is the core memory thing that they did. I'll often find myself watching my daughter, and I'll just kind of think like, I wonder what hers are. I wonder what she's collected so far. I wonder if she has any. I wonder what they will be. I wonder if I'm going to be a part of them. And that's just too much. Sometimes movies give us more than we even fucking deserve. And I think Inside Out does that tenfold.
Yeah, man. I mean, I imagine the best way to ensure that she has core memories of y'all is to try to make every memory a core memory. Make everything important and memorable and effective for her, and she'll have those.
Yeah. I think ultimately being present, you'll be there for them. You just constantly try to be there, and that's just such a cool thought. Inside Out, fucking awesome movie. I can't wait to do it on the show one day. I've been saving it. I just don't know. Again, I'm like you, where it's like, I got to really talk about this. This is gonna ruin me. 2015, they follow up Inside Out with one of the weakest Pixar films of all time. I wrote down Mama and Papa, but come on, this is The Good Dinosaur deserves no characters.
I couldn't tell you anybody. I watched it 2 days ago, and I got nothing. It was a boring, like, cliche movie. I mean, it was The Land Before Time meets Brother Bear. I mean, it's the same. Like, if you're gonna make a movie about dinosaurs, why not think outside the box? I mean, it was dull, and with a great concept too. The meteor doesn't hit, dinosaurs and humans grow up together, and this is what you do with that concept.
Yeah, I agree. I think Good Dinosaur, along with Brave, is like, you guys screwed the pooch here. You really had a chance to do something. Dinosaurs and Scotland, and this is what we get. Okay.
Fuck, combine that shit. Give me dinosaurs in Scotland, and you've got a better movie.
Fuck yeah. Dinosaurs with Scottish accents, and then we're in. We're fucking in. I'd watch that.
Brave dinosaur, right there.
The Brave Dinosaur. I love it. Let's just cancel those out. We should have 23 movies, not 24. After The Good Dinosaur, you have Finding Dory from 2016, which I watched just like a week ago because my daughter wanted to watch it. She was streaming Dory, so I was like, okay, we'll watch Finding Dory. It's okay. I think it's fine. That's a 7 out of 10 kind of movie for me. I love Hank. I think Hank is amazing in that movie. I like Bailey, the beluga whale. Yeah. I like Fluke, who's Idris Elba. Yeah. He's great. And then I like the wife and husband fish, which are played by Kate McKinnon and Bill Hader. Bill Hader, underrated mainstay in Pixar the past decade. They're at the very beginning of the movie when Dory's lost, and they're like, Bill Hader's like, oh, I don't know what the fuck to do. I mean, it's a fish. I don't know where their parents are. But none of these, I think, actually make the cut. I just wrote them down for fun.
Yeah, I don't have anybody from Finding Dory, although I do. Hank's cool. I like that movie. I think it's a little forgettable. I do love that somehow they managed to have Dory's dad have like a receding hairline as a fish.
Yes.
But yeah, decent movie, but not one of their like most incredible films. So yeah, it doesn't have anybody for me.
Yeah, me neither. There are moments that are real nice, real lovely, and kind of coexist with Finding Nemo really well. But Finding Nemo is clearly the superior film. 2017, we got a couple movies. Cars 3. I wrote down Smokey just because Smokey's kind of cool, and then of course Coco.
Yeah. Cars 3 I liked. Don't have anybody from it. I don't know why every race car apart from Lightning McQueen is a complete dick in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cars 3 is good. I wouldn't have anybody there. Coco, on the other hand.
Oh boy.
I have 2. Miguel and Hector.
Both shoo-ins. Like complete. Hector is one of the biggest locks that you can find. Hector is such a great character. I also wrote down Ernesto and Mama Imelda, but I think Miguel and Hector are the ones that need to stay.
Ernesto may rival Syndrome for the most evil Pixar character ever. Just especially the twist. I did not see that shit coming the first time I watched it. That was so smart.
The double twist in Coco of him thinking that Ernesto's his great grandfather based on the guitar, and then the double twist later in the movie is like, oh my god, this is some next level shit.
Yeah, I mean, Ernesto openly tries to murder a child to secure his reputation. I mean, that's some dark shit, and like, you actually see Hector die in this movie. Like this is hardcore. Pixar goes to a very adult place with Coco, and I respect that. Also, Ernesto's life just looks like what Elvis is probably doing in the afterlife right now. Just holding concerts and being the biggest celebrity in the world.
Yeah. Ernesto's a brilliantly written character. This guy and this is something we've heard before in other like music stories where someone steals someone else's writing, or not even steals, but they have a ghost writer and they don't get enough credit. They're the ones who are actually writing the words. This is a brilliant movie about music, not just family and morals and figuring out who you are and following your dreams, but it's like a wonderful music movie, on the same level as like Whiplash, where it's like this is a good movie about musicians. And Hector, my god, this guy's a special fucking character.
Oh, Coco. I can't wait to talk about it at length. But yeah, Miguel and Hector are shoo-ins.
Okay. Yeah. We'll save our thoughts on Coco here for later in the episode. 2018 Incredibles 2.
Yeah. I waited 14 years for this. I had such high expectations for Incredibles 2. I've written in multiple reviews that I cannot believe we got 3 Cars movies before we got a sequel to The Incredibles, which seemed like the most obvious contender for a franchise. But I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
it's not like Craig T. Nelson was busy. But seriously, like what? Anyway, Coach got canceled a long time ago. But yeah, Incredibles 2, I felt didn't live up to the hype. I thought it should have been so much more. I thought it had a weak story. It just didn't click with me. So I was bummed out by Incredibles 2.
Yeah. I think Incredibles 2, you do have, the mom gets to really take over and be like kind of the main character. And then I do like the brother-sister combo of Bob Odenkirk and Catherine Keener. That's pretty badass for a movie to have. But neither of them are like Evelyn's a decent character, decent villain, but I don't know. It's not like nearly fleshed out enough for me. Incredibles 2 is just one of their misfires. Another missed opportunity. Yeah. The following year, Pixar does the impossible, and they cap off a 4-film run with Toy Story 4, which is just awesome. Great film. I went into it thinking there's no way they make a 4th film that's as good as the first 3. And here we are. It's just right on par with the other 3. I think all of them are 9s or higher. I think they're all just great films. I'm a sucker for this franchise, man.
I was as surprised as you were. As soon as I found out about Toy Story 4, I'm like, oh, that's a terrible idea. They're going to shit on the legacy. This is going to be for cash only. The story's not going to matter. And I saw the trailer and I'm like, Forky? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Forky's great.
Yeah. In the movie, I'm like, this is beautiful. The whole idea of Forky trying to be like, I'm trash. I belong in the trash. That was hilarious. And
yeah, I thought Forky was wonderful.
Yeah. I loved the idea of, and Toy Story 1, 2, 3 is, essentially Andy's story. And then this one is kind of capping off Woody's story, like an epilogue that actually worked. Without Andy, what is his purpose? And I love that. Him kind of realizing like, I'm my own toy. Like I can have my own life, my own way. That's a great lesson. And I love, Bo Peep's the only character I have here because I love the way that she got to actually be a character with agency and a full arc, as opposed to just being Andy's sister's lamp for the first 2 movies and not even being in part 3.
Good shout.
And her just kind of teaching Woody about like what life as a toy can be. You're not just, you don't belong to anybody. You're a sentient being with your own path to make. And I love that. That's a great life lesson.
Okay. Do you want to do Bo Peep as a baby?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I like that. We might have a space for her. So yeah, I think that's a good shout. She does have that interesting ride through Toy Story where we have the same voice actor here who sticks with it. And really impressive. I wrote down Forky just for fun. I don't think he belongs. And then I wrote down also for a lot of fun, Duke Kaboom, Keanu Reeves. What the fuck? This is like noir Spider-Man, Nicolas Cage and Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like, awesome. Cool. We'll take it as fans.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I love Keanu. And he's going to play Batman, by the way, in an animated movie coming out this year.
I know. Oh my God, that looks insane.
Yeah, his little bit as Duke Kaboom was really cute. Toy Story 4 is a delight. It's an unexpected treat and really kind of just like a dessert after a wonderful 3-course meal.
Well put, and has cemented itself as one of the strongest franchises of all time. Because there is no weak link. I've met someone who rates each movie as their favorite. There's people who are like, Toy Story, the first one's the best. I hear people who are like, actually, Toy Story 2 is pretty fucking awesome. And there's people, of course, who are like, no, Toy Story 3 is where it's at. And then there's kids now who are like, Toy Story 4 is where it's at. So it's like this, what the fuck? It's this over 20-year, it's a 24-year long saga of incredible films. And that's our life. That's our whole life. So yeah, I adore what they've done. So Bo Peep is definitely a maybe. Here we go. This is one of your favorites. 2020 Onward. Who do you got?
Oh, Onward. It's got to me. Any movies about, missing dad always get under my skin. You know that. And Onward was the last like big film I saw in theaters before everything shut down. I remember seeing going there and like on a Saturday and being one of 6 people in the theater and just feeling this grim, ominous vibe of like, something's not right. And the server was like, you guys are like the only people I've seen today. And I'm like, oh shit. And the movie was amazing. I love Onward. It's such a cool idea, just like a modern day fantasy world and two brothers trying to find their dad so they can talk to him one last time. What a great story. I have the 2 brothers, Ian and Barley are my picks.
I also wrote down Ian and Barley. Do you think these guys are shoo-ins, or what do you think?
I don't know. I've lost count of how many spots we've got. I'm kind of just, I don't know.
Well, we're almost to the end here. So what we're going to do is we can put them down as maybes for now, but we're about to go, once we finish, we're going to go back through who we put as locks and see how many we have and if we have to cut anything or add anything. So
Okay.
it's your call, man. I'm open. I think they're both great. You got Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. Come on.
All right. Let's throw them down as maybes.
Ian and Barley. I love it. And then we have also from 2020 at the end of the year, Soul, which is just a delightful film.
One last bit on Onward. I wish I could include Guinevere the van. Maybe my favorite Pixar moment ever is when the wheel buckles and it starts galloping towards Valhalla. Beautiful.
Yes. Hilarious, but also breathtaking,
Anyway, Soul. Soul is the most grown-up Pixar has ever gotten. This did not feel like a kid's movie once. Like, this is a film about existentialism and like death, which is some hard shit for a kid to deal with. I have Joe and 22.
Okay, so that's your kind of your main characters there. Yeah, I wrote them down as well, but I think the funniest character, the one that kind of gives you some comedic stuff, is Terry. That vocal performance is just hilarious, and I've never heard anything like it. And then I wrote down who I think is one of the most beautifully animated characters they've ever done is Dorothea, played by Angela Bassett. Just like, what the fuck, you're like, how is this possible, And of course, Soul is like, out of, this is the 23rd movie we've talked about, and there's just not a lot of black representation here in these movies. And Soul was like, let's do that. And not only that, but they capture New York City better than a lot of movies that are based in New York City do. So yeah. I adore Soul. I love it. It's probably my like sixth, seventh, or eighth, somewhere right outside my top 5 all-time Pixar. I really, really responded to it. I think it's a bit out there at times, like a little too out there. But if you can kind of, suspend, your belief, then this movie can like take you for a fucking ride. And there's some shit there where, with Joe, the stuff you mentioned about him, him dying is, its ultimate goal is to say, hey, like, live each day, like, please live each day, be present, please, please, please. And I like that. I think that's a good thing to remind people of, by being harsh and then kind of letting up on the gas. Of course, I like movies that just kind of fucking stay off the gas completely and are like, fuck you, you're the audience. But I do like for a kids, ultimately a kids movie, animated movie to kind of, lighten up a bit. I don't know if there's any for sure's at this movie though. I think maybe Joe, but I don't know. I think this film is more about its kind of grand gesture and, again, how beautiful it looks, kind of like Ratatouille, where it's just like, holy shit, this is gorgeous. New York City, they fucking captured it so well. But I don't know if there's any character that's like belongs in this pantheon.
Well, Soul is one of the few Pixar films that isn't really that character driven. It's more plot driven and really kind of is there to just kind of give kids a way to understand that death is not something to be afraid of, that it's just another thing we all have to go through. But I think the coolest thing about this film is knowing that there are going to be kids out there who are going to see this as children and possibly take these lessons into their life and have this mindset of live each day like it's the last and really strive for something. And the lives that they're going to have are going to be impactful on the entire planet. And that's, I think, this film's legacy. And I'm very excited to see that.
Yeah, great shout. I love that about it. I love that. I think it's going to have this really cool legacy. And I listened to Jamie Foxx talk about like what it meant for him to work on this movie. And he had, I believe it was his sister who had passed away. And he was like, I like needed this movie. I like desperately needed it to like remind me that there's a difference in remembering someone and paying homage to them and remembering their legacy. And then there's kind of dwelling on it and sulking about it. And he's like, there's like a fine line where you can be respectful about who they were. And there's also that kind of self-inflicting, like, like it's painful. It's painful to think about someone that you love dying, but you have to remember that like your life has to move forward. Like you have to put the next foot forward because that's what they would have done, right? You know, it's like it's always this inevitable thing, and I love that Soul tries to capture that. I think Soul and Coco are on this crazy, crazy pedestal of like, look what the fuck we're doing. You know, look what we're teaching children. Like you said, to not be afraid of death. You know, in Coco, you have dead people dancing. Like it's incredible. It's like this chilling effect. Like, you know, it's the afterlife is up to you. You know, it's kind of like it's up to you, and that's pretty fucking powerful.
One of my favorite quotes of all time is, you know, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And I think that's a great way to kind of live each day, is just, you know, get what you can out of every moment. It's a good lesson to take with you. And I think these movies really, really capture that.
Yeah. Carpe diem. Seize the day, boys. Okay, so you think Joe is a maybe, or 22, or what do you think?
I'm kind of with you. I think the characters aren't as, you know, huge and representative of Pixar as like we've seen in the past. So I don't really think I'm going to take anybody from Soul.
Okay, sounds good. All right, last movie here, Luca, from early 2021. I wrote down Luca and Alberto, but I don't think either of them really belong in the Hall of Fame. I just think they're both fun.
Yeah, with you. I have Alberto and Julia.
Nice.
I liked Luca. I felt it was very similar to The Little Mermaid. Kind of made me think like, oh boy, is the idea well running dry? But you know, it's a delightful film. It's fine. Not really one I, you know, probably go back to that often, but if it's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah. It was like 1989's Little Mermaid meets 2017's Call Me by Your Name. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's neat. That's fun. I might watch it sometime in the future, but I'm not racing to it. So decent film though. I thought it was really pretty. That's the last one. So we have, again, Turning Red is out right now on Disney Plus, and Lightyear will be out, I believe, in June or July.
I think it's June, but I don't know. Shit's always changing.
Yeah, I think it's June 22nd. I looked it up earlier, but I can't remember. It's not a huge concern right now. All right. Let's see how many we clocked in for shoo-ins. We have for these are locks. Woody, Buzz, Hopper, Jesse, Mike Lazowski, Sullivan, Randall, that's 7, Marlin, that's 8, Dory, Gil, Syndrome, Bob, Helen, Lightning McQueen, that's 14, Remy, 15, Wally, Eve, Carl, Bing Bong, Miguel, and Hector. That's 21. We have 3 spots left.
Fuck.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. I like how we were kind of harsh about it. All right, so I'll go through. We have 3 spots left. I'll go through our maybes. Mr. Potato Head. Oh boy. Ham. Slinky Dog. Flick. Molt. Any of those speak to you?
Fuck.
That's Toy Story and A Bug's Life. That's 5 maybes from just 2 movies.
I think we got to give a slot to Mr. Potato Head.
I agree. I think, especially out of those Toy Story characters, I love Ham, love Slinky Dog, but Potato Head is kind of one of the GOAT supporting characters. It's kind of weird leaving Flick off, but at the same time, I don't know. He's like one of the main characters of one of their big movies, one of their first movies. But I don't know. He's not that memorable.
Yeah, I agree. I think A Bug's Life, its villain is so unforgettable that he kind of overshadows the rest of the cast, like the rest of the characters. And that happens. But Potato Head for sure has a spot.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 left now.
Okay.
I'll go through the next kind of phase of maybes. The Prospector, Al, Zurg, Buzz 2, Boo, Frozone, and Doc Hudson. Shit.
Boo for sure, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I love Toy Story 2, but I don't think any of those other characters kind of belong. I think Boo does represent something pretty special, as being this like toddler, baby/toddler character who's just iconic at this point. Like little kids dresses her for Halloween and shit, you know?
Yeah, I love the character itself as just kind of representative of, innocence and just this fish out of water character in a world where everyone thinks she's like poison. I love that idea. And it's all a lie so they can keep selling Scream. Crazy.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, conspiracy in that movie. It's all over the map. All right, Boo. Really, I'm pushing for Doc. I love that character.
Okay, so Doc Hudson over Frozone, you think?
I think Doc has more to offer as a character. I think Frozone's kind of just there to be the freezy guy and have that super suit moment, whereas Doc is like the mentor, the guy who was a race car, who was like everyone left him behind and he's resented it and then has to kind of get pulled out of the dark into the light by lightning in his quest to be a race car, like to be the best. I like, and Paul Newman brings such a gravitas to the character. In his later years, there was so much experience in his voice, so much a life lived. You could hear it in the way he talked. And Doc being like his final project, there's just something special about that character.
Pretty cool. Okay. So right now, Doc has the last spot. Let's see if any of these rattle that cage. There's 7 more.
Okay.
Doug and Russell from Up. I don't think so.
Nah.
Ken from Toy Story 3. Love you, Michael Keaton. Keaton, you're great, but you're no Paul Newman. And then we got 4 more. Bo Peep. I don't know. We have Ian and Barley Lightfoot. And then we have Joe from Soul.
No, I think I'm good with that.
I think Doc gets the 24th spot. Holy shit. That is crazy. So, all right. So let's go back through it just to kind of, reminisce a bit. This has been a lot of fun. This has been one of my favorite episodes so far because it's so neat to remember this stuff, and look at it this way and talk about all 24 films and figure out which characters we love. And this was actually a little easier than I thought as far as me and you we just agree on a lot of this stuff. We're impacted the same way by a lot of these characters. So we have Woody and Buzz and Potato Head, Mr. Potato Head from Toy Story. We have Hopper from A Bug's Life. We have Jesse from Toy Story 2. We have Mike, Sully, and Randall from Monsters, Inc. Okay. We have Marlin, Dory, and Gil, because I have to have Willem Dafoe in there from Finding Nemo. We have Syndrome, Bob, and Helen, all from The Incredibles. We have Lightning McQueen and Doc Hudson from Cars. Who would have thought? We have Remy from Ratatouille. We have Wally and Eve from Wally. We have Carl from Up. We have Lotso from Toy Story 3. We have Bing Bong from Inside Out. And finally, the last 2, Miguel and Hector from Coco. What a great way to finish. Coco being the last. That is the latest film to receive Hall of Fame inductees. Now, I would love to do this again in like a year and include Turning Red and Lightyear, which means 2 more spots open up. Those spots could go to Turning Red in Lightyear, or they could go to 2 of these people that we just named. It's kind of like that's how the Hall of Fame works, right? Is like say for basketball, to make the NBA Hall of Fame, you have to be retired for 4 years. So it's like there's a class. They always call it like the class of whatever 2022, and there's a certain amount of guys who retired back in 2018, and now they're up for being in the Hall of Fame in 2022. So their spots open up as years go by because guys have retired for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And I think that's a neat way to look at it for the Pixar Character Hall of Fame is there's a limited amount of spots, but they open up as movies come out, as they collect a bigger filmography. So 10 years from now, who fucking knows, you know?
Mhm.
That's the cool part of it. But for me and you, we go all the way from Toy Story 1995 to Coco 2017. Did you have some fun or what?
Yeah, this was neat. I love these little projects. Always fun to get to kind of dig in deep to this stuff. It's what I live and breathe for.
Yeah, me too. I would say at work today, I was just like, damn, I wonder which ones are going to make it. I wonder who's going to get cut that I love. I really like Frozone, but I don't know. Like Doc Hudson just beat him out. Fucking Paul Newman beat out Samuel L. Jackson, and I love thinking about it that way. This is some of my favorite shit to do. So I'm in love with fucking Pixar and what they have to offer, and these characters mean the world to me.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. There's something special about their development team and what they bring to the table every year or so. It's standout. It's for kids, it's for adults. It's constantly thinking outside the box. I'll always be a fan of Pixar's films. I'll always keep watching them.
Yeah, same here. And I think Coco is one that we're clearly impacted by. And it's a film ever since you saw it for the first time when we did the Luca episode and we were like going to do a top 5 Pixar. You watched that and you're like, holy shit, this just destroyed me. I think it's a movie that you've always wanted to do on the show. And it's hitting its 5-year anniversary later on. And I believe December is when it came out of 2017. So it's cool that, 5 years later, which is crazy that it's 5 years already, we can kind of revisit it. So let's look at the 90th Academy Awards and kind of see where Coco, where it was nominated and what it should have been nominated for. Do you want to start with original song or best animated film?
I feel like we'll have more to say with original song. So let's do animated film.
Best animated film. I'm totally down with that. So interesting group here. We have The Boss Baby. We have The Breadwinner. Never seen it. We have Ferdinand. And we have Loving Vincent. Pretty good. The only competition Coco has here. And of course the winner, Coco. Have not seen The Breadwinner. I wanted to get to it, but I was more focused on this Pixar project. So that's where I was kind of living. The Boss Baby is so silly and so ridiculous. I thought it was gonna be worse than it is. It's got some funny moments, and my daughter loves it. She thinks it's fucking hilarious to watch a baby talk like a man. But Ferdinand, not for me. Not really my kind of film. Loving Vincent is the one that's like very much aiming at adults, and adults went to see it, and it's super stylized, and it's the only one that could rival Coco. But ultimately, out of this category, these 5 films, Coco definitely deserves it.
I've only seen Coco of this bunch. I had intended to watch these, but for the past week and a half, I've been buried under a bunch of essays I had to grade, or I had to write, and a fuck ton more I had to grade. So I've been just so swamped. It's kind of a miracle I was able to get to anything this week. So Coco was all I watched, apart from the Pixar films I crammed into yesterday. So, but honestly, apart from Loving Vincent, I don't really want to watch any of these.
You don't need to. Yeah. I don't know much about The Breadwinner. I'm interested in it because it's kind of like a outlier type film to be in this category. So I'm interested in it. But again, Coco, it's hard to believe something beating it,
Well, I'm just wondering, like, was there anything else animated that came out that year that was maybe deserving more? Like Lego Batman movie, perhaps, which was really good.
Cars 3.
Yeah. Despicable Me 3. The Captain Underpants movie. Like, I feel like there was better options here. But what do I know?
Yeah. What do we know? So Loving Vincent's the one you should get to. I think that's what we've learned here for your Ferdinand came out while we were working there, and I watched it like for free at Draft House. I was just severely underwhelmed.
Yeah, I don't really, John Cena plays a bull with a heart of gold. I don't care. I don't need to see that. I think bullfighting's fucking horrendous. So I don't want to see a movie based on it.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't really feel like sitting through that. Not my bag. Original song. Why do you think this category has more for us to say? Just because we've seen them?
Well, I think these films are a lot more interesting. So
Okay,
I think that
okay.
we'll actually be able to have more of a conversation out of these movies.
Okay, I can dig that. Yeah, I have seen all of these. I think it's a pretty cool group. We have Mighty River from Mudbound, Mary J. Blige. We have Mystery of Love from Call Me by Your Name, Sufjan Stevens. We have Stand Up for Something from Marshall by Diane Warren. This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. I'm not too big on that song. And then the winner, Remember Me from Coco, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. Yeah, I think Remember Me is a wonderful track and definitely my favorite from this. I'm a huge Sufjan Stevens fan, but I'm not crazy about the Call Me by Your Name music. I think it's decent. Mudbound, very, very good film, very underrated. I think Mudbound's fucking kick ass. And Marshall, Mr. Chadwick Boseman, one of his, at the way you look at it now, one of his last roles. So pretty crazy.
I've not seen Mudbound. I really want to. I know I'll love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, but these other 4 films I've seen, I really liked Call Me by Your Name. And I love Mystery of Love. It's such a beautiful song. That was my pick back when the Oscars were there. I hadn't seen Coco yet. So at the time I was like, I really hope the Call Me by Your Name song wins. And the Greatest Showman, it's such a delightful movie. It's so fun. It's a complete bald-faced lie, but it is fun. Turns out P.T. Barnum was a kind of a sociopathic shit. Not really the, I'm going to help disenfranchised people be famous. No, he was like, I'm going to take advantage of all these freaks and make millions. But that doesn't translate into a family musical led by Hugh Jackman. Now does it? But yeah, the whole time I'm watching that, I'm like, this is bullshit, but I'm entertained.
I'm here. I'm here for it. Yeah, that was a busy ass fucking movie at our theater, Alma Draft House. I was like, Jesus, look at all these motherfuckers, these Stone Oak people that are just like, yeah, musical, let's go. I just, it's just not my kind of shit.
That was right before I came back. I didn't. I hadn't been there. I came back to work about February of 2018, right around when Black Panther was going.
Good timing. Yeah.
I know. I was like, fuck. I was trying to miss the Marvel phase of work, but it didn't work out that way.
No, you ended up being in that run of crazy shit in 2018. Yeah. Oh, something called Infinity War. Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. I remember working some heavy, felt like fucking D-Day at times, but,
yeah.
Stand your ground. They're coming. But I like The Greatest Showman. This Is Me is an interesting song because it's at the moment where P.T. Barnum's like, you're freaks and you can't come to my party. You're making me look bad. And then they have this like, we're just as good as anybody, and they have their moment in the snow and they're singing This Is Me. Anyway, I don't know what I could say about The Greatest Showman that hasn't been said.
Zendaya is cool in it. It's kind of one of her, moments of like, hey, I'm here. I'm an actress and I'm pretty good. And that's nice because at this point now she's fucking massive, She does earlier that summer she had done Spider-Man. We realized she's gonna be the new love interest. About a year later, she does season 1 of Euphoria, and then she does, of course, Spider-Man again, and then Euphoria season 2 and Spider-Man again. And now here we are, and she's like in commercials everywhere. Pretty cool to track that back to, this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm hoping she does a Greatest Showman 2 where we get to see the real P.T. Barnum. I think that would be nice.
I'm down. I'm down for that. I would see that. And my mom loves that movie. My fiance Brianna loves that movie. So I'm going to have to see if they had a sequel, I would have to see it,
Fuck, I won't lie. I do love that movie. I just acknowledge that it's complete fantasy. Like they don't talk about P.T. Barnum's other 2 wives.
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I mean, Coco kind of had this locked. Remember Me is such an important part of that movie. And I love the different variations of it. Ernesto de la Cruz's version, which is just this kind of typical love song, but then Hector's like intended version, which is a memento for his daughter. It's, oh boy, just talking about it gets me a little choked up. Christ.
Yeah, truly. I think, Remember Me. I love the journey Remember Me has through the movie where, we realize it's this huge song. It's one of the biggest songs in Mexico. And then I love when he's going to sing it for the talent show. And then Hector's like, no. Like everyone plays that shit, like, no, come on, man, be a real musician. And then you realize later on, like, Hector doesn't want to confront that song. Because it's just so huge, it's such a huge moment in his life. It's the last time he saw his daughter. And that little moment is so fucking cute. Little Coco is one of the cutest motherfuckers in Pixar ever. And Hector singing to her, and when her voice kind of cracks and his voice cracks, you're like, God damn it. Cinema.
Dude, I watched it with my grandparents, and my grandma is pretty much touched by anything. There's been fucking credit card commercials that made her cry. But my grandpa, who is like stone-faced by that stuff, I've never seen him, a movie's never gotten a reaction out of him, and he was in tears. Coco got him, and that's when I'm like, this is a masterpiece.
This is real.
This is real. This is magic. So that's, I remember after that scene, my grandpa went like, well, that brought a tear to my eye. And I'm like, oh my God.
No shit, Grandpa. Yeah. So my favorite question for tonight, after doing all this Pixar stuff and looking at these categories, is, Connor.
Yes.
Why isn't Coco in the Best Picture category?
Because the Oscars really don't respect animated films. They act like they do, but they don't fucking care. I mean, otherwise, Coco would be there. I mean, like there's no reason why Coco got there or didn't get there, but like the movie like The fucking Post is there because Meryl Streep got bored for 3 months. Like, I don't think that's fair. I mean, Coco is maybe the best movie at this ceremony, and it should be there. It should be there. It should be in the screenplay category. It should be all over the place, and it's not.
Okay, so I agree with you, especially about The Post. Tom and Meryl were like, fuck it, we'll do something. So the winner is Shape of Water.
Yes.
Then you have Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour. I'll be honest, I think Coco is better than all three of those. I think it could replace any of those three. Dunkirk, now that's a conversation. Get Out, that's a conversation. For me, Lady Bird, that's a conversation. I know you feel differently about it. Phantom Thread, that's certainly a conversation for me. And then The Post, definitely better than. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I like it, but I think Coco is better than that movie as well. I think Coco is better than more than half of the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
Better than 4 fucking movies. And like that's not good, and I'm not the only motherfucker who thinks that, I was talking to some friends at work today. I was like, I'm doing Coco on my podcast tonight, and they're like, oh fuck, I love Coco. And they like immediately were like, that's like my favorite movie from 2017, and it's this kind of like piece of art that has lasted for 5 years now. And these other movies, like some of these other movies haven't. And that's, to me, what it should be about, the Best Picture category. I get that, there's always that conversation that we have about, it's silly to give awards out, to art. All art is, subjective. But I do think there is this kind of inherent thing that we have as humans to rank things and put things in tiers. And I do think there are pieces of art, whether it be music or paintings or movies or TV shows, that most people are going to enjoy. And I think that's what Best Picture should be about. It's not always trying to chase the artsy thing or chase the darkest thing or this or that. It's about what really affected people. What, as in 2017, what really took the movie world by storm, and captured all of their minds. Get Out fucking did that. It came out in theaters in March and came all the way around almost a year later and fucking showed out at the ceremony. No problem with that. Are people even talking about Darkest Hour anymore? Decent film. But there's people who don't give a shit. Coco is this movie that has lived on for 5 years now. And I think that's what this category should be about. I really do. Deep down in my heart, that's like my issue with No Way Home, Spider-Man not being nominated for Best Picture is like, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Drive My Car. That is great. Nobody's fucking seen it. Nobody's going to know what the fuck you're talking about going into it. Not just because it's foreign. Parasite had a wave of people that were like, holy shit, this movie's good. And they saw it in theaters. They went and checked it out before the ceremony. Drive My Car is one of those that people might check out just because it's on HBO Max now. Come on, like put movies up that matter to the culture. Then people will care. Then people will watch. And Coco is a missed motherfucking opportunity. I don't get it. I look at this ceremony and I'm like, you missed the point. You just totally missed the point. This is a decent group of films, but Coco is better than half of them.
Yeah, it is this weird disconnect with the Academy. Like, what are they trying to prove at this point? Like, you are who you are. You're the Academy. You've been around for, nearly 100 years, and you've always awarded films on your own merits. That's great. But the people who care about this stuff, they have something to say about that, as we've shown with our near 100 episode count on this show. Like, the legacy matters. And there's been films throughout, look at the 70s. Those Best Picture winners resonate. Those are films that have lasted and will last forever. Films like The Godfather, The French Connection, Sting. Like, these are forever films. And the 2010s especially is full of films that no one has talked about for years. Except for really maybe Parasite and I think Moonlight. Like, a couple of them made it. But overall, it's all like they're trying to prove something, or they're trying to be, the guy in the room who doesn't feel like they're the smartest guy in the room unless they're on the fringe of whatever somebody else is talking about. Like, that's what the Academy feels like right now. And I don't like that. Like, I don't want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to the guy who's like, did you see Coco? It was amazing. Like, yeah. The guy who's willing to own that, that's the guy I want to talk to. That's the Academy I want to see, like, run these Oscars.
Yeah, same here. I get misunderstood as a movie fan all the time as like, oh yeah, you just like the artsy stuff. That is just so far from the truth. I love that stuff for me. That's what I'm gonna do in my spare time. I'm currently on, and this from doing episodes like Day for Night. I'm constantly on this grind to watch a bunch of French New Wave movies. That's for me. Does that mean the general movie watching cinephile public is going to be like, hell yeah, all that shit rules? Like, no, it's not true. And I think the 70s, like you mentioned, is the greatest example of marrying box office success, great directors, great stories, great films, and putting them in the Best Picture categories. You have these years where you're like, holy shit, all 5 of these movies fucking rule, and they all have something to say, and they all meant something when they came out. This is just not the case in 2017. I always dread looking at the 2010s and sometimes even the 2000s, just looking at, holy shit, there's 10 movies here and 4 of them I don't ever want to watch again. And that really sucks when the winner, Shape of Water, decent movie, but I like, really when you think about 2017, is Get Out really not the first thing that comes to your head, or one of the first 2-3 things that comes to your head? Come on, like, come off of it, fuck off. Like, that's just crazy talk.
Well, I've always thought Best Picture is a label that should be put on a film that is unique, that stands out, that has something important to say, something we've never seen before on some level. A film that's experimental, but at the same time familiar. And it's so hard to find that balance. But in a perfect world, 2017 is a battle between Coco and Get Out. Like that is, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, and you know, like I'm willing to put aside my fucking ego as a huge movie fan and a huge massive Paul Thomas Anderson fan and be like, look, Phantom Thread, good movie. But come on, comparing it to Coco or Get Out on a greater scale of, if you had 100 people watch Coco and 100 people watch Phantom Thread, come on, more of those 100 are going to respond to Coco.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal to me. That's a huge deal. Same thing this year. If you have 100 people watch Spider-Man No Way Home and you have 100 people watch Don't Look Up, which fucking movie do you think is going to get a better response? The one that encapsulated 20 years of filmmaking and did it with familiarity, with characters that we know, but did it in a way that's never fucking been done before. And I'm not saying every superhero movie should be up for Best Picture, but there are those standouts that should be. Mainly No Way Home and fucking Infinity War. Like, give those movies their fucking flowers. They changed the formula.
Yeah.
And that's fucking important. And again, I think it's also about getting people interested in movies when it comes to the Oscars, and they're not even trying. If you have, even if it's a goddamn decoy, if it's like, hey, we've got fucking 10 spots, let's use No Way Home as one to get people to watch and also nominate Drive My Car, then maybe more people will see Drive My Car. What a crazy thought. Like,
give West Side Story its costume design, give it its, give Spielberg a director's nod, maybe a couple performance nominations, but get it the fuck out of Best Picture. West Side Story had its time. It won 10 Oscars. That's great. Let it die. We don't need another one. I would advocate a no remake bylaw in Best Picture, with very few exceptions. But on the whole, I think the very fact that a film's a remake should disqualify it.
I do too, and I know you and I are on the same page that it should be 5 films. And for me, 2017 is real tough, right? Because I love some movies that have no business being in a Best Picture category, like Good Time, Safdie brothers. I love Good Time, but it's not a. I get why people are not going to vibe with it.
But why? Why does it not deserve to be called Best Picture? Like, who makes that call?
I think Good Time in a perfect world, in an A24 world, it would be up for Best Picture. I do think it's a very moving and very incredible, like very exciting movie, but it's just has not been seen by enough people. Or Killing of a Sacred Deer, Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah,
I think this is right. The Lobster, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Favorite. I think The Favorite is the one that people are like, oh, okay, this guy's legit. But before that, it was kind of more like, there's not as many people who have seen it, and it's fucking dark as shit. Like, I get why it's not in a category that Coco's in. I get that. Those are some of my favorites. I love The Florida Project. It's one of my favorite Willem Dafoe performances of all time. I love that film. Also, I don't know. I don't know if it's got enough meaning to the culture. I think it has meaning to a certain crowd, but I don't know if it has meaning to culture as a whole.
See, but that's where I don't agree, because how many people do you think have really sat down and watched Drive My Car? How many people do you think actually know that movie?
Very few, and I don't think it should be there. And I actually watched it the other day. It's really good, but it's a 3-hour movie kind of about grief, and it is very good. And if the nominees went on and on and on, like, yeah, sure, Drive My Car is one of the best movies I've seen from 2021. But again, I believe it should be 5 movies, and I don't think Drive My Car should be in that 5. That's just where I'm at. And I don't think in 2017, I personally, I would say Get Out, Coco, Dunkirk. Those last 2 spots are tough, are really tough. I think Phantom Thread probably has something there, has something to say. damn. After that, I'm trying to rack my brain for films that aren't in the category at all. Let's see. Fucking
Logan.
I, Tanya. That's great.
How about Logan?
Oh, perfect example. Yes, I forgot that came out this year. Logan is unreal. Logan is so dark, so good. It definitely deserves to be in a best picture category. Like, yeah. So Logan, Dunkirk, Get Out, Dunkirk, Get Out, Phantom Thread, Coco. Like that, yeah, that's five movies people give a shit about still.
And it represents every aspect of 2017's film. You've got your drama, you've got your superhero, you've got your animated, you've got everything that people who are tuning in actually fucking saw and might care about, wanting to see if it does well. Yeah. That's why the Oscars have been so successful in the past, because the films reflected the culture, and we've gotten so fucking far away from that.
Exactly. Yeah. You look at that, man, we did a Best Picture showdown. We're in one fucking Best Picture category. It was French Connection, Clockwork Orange, and The Last Picture Show. Are you kidding me? Like, those are three movies that knock these movies out of the fucking water, you know? It's just not even close. They mean so much still 50 years later. And that's what we want. That's what we want. We want stuff that lasts. We don't want to laugh at these categories. I don't want to make fun of this shit. But sometimes it's fucking when a movie like Coco is left out, it causes you to go on these tangents like we are, you know, and have these thoughts.
Yeah, it hurts. It feels like we're losing out on something. And I don't like that. It feels like a missed opportunity that we're never going to get again. And they keep making this mistake. Every time there's new management in the Academy, I have this, you know, empty idea of like, oh, things will change. And then here we are with, you know, fucking West Side Story and a bunch of films that nobody really fucking cared about.
Yeah. This Best Picture slate, partly because of what's happened to, you know, our beloved film industry and the theater and all that stuff. It's just changed, you know, in wild ways the past couple 2-3 years. This slate, you know, we look back 10 years from now, this is going to be one of the most forgettable slates of all time.
Yeah, honestly, like whoever wins, and it'll probably go to
Power of the Dog.
Yeah, see, I just fucking blanked. I was like, what the fuck? What's up?
Yeah.
I had drive my car and don't look up was all I could bring up. Yeah, Power of the Dog is a film that's essentially just, you know, Old West Brokeback Mountain, but a lot grittier. And that's just like, I've seen it. Like, I don't want to watch it again because I've seen that movie done perfectly well before. It's infuriating. We're recycling. Like, oh yeah, it's just
it sucks because and I don't want people to get it twisted. Like, Drive My Car, really good. Licorice Pizza, fucking awesome. I liked Power of the Dog. I like what's the other one I like a lot that I watched? Don't Look Up is fine. I haven't seen Belfast yet.
That's good. There are exceptions. Obviously.
Yeah, no, it's a decent group of movies. Like, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, these are like, there's like a lot of like 8s in here, you know, like this is a decent group. But
yeah,
I just can't stress enough how important it is to recognize greatness when it's right in front of you, like No Way Home. And I'm not like, oh my God, No Way Home's by far the best movie from 2021. I'm not really saying that. I'm mainly saying,
I'll say that.
Fucking give it a horse in the race. Give it a horse.
Yeah. I just, you know, I think that, do you think we're ever going to kind of shed that stigma of genre? Because genre should not come into play when we're talking about the best of film. It should be the best of film, not the best dramas, not the best, you know, fucking superhero films if they even get a chance. I mean, best horror is outside, you know, never actually getting a fucking invite to the party anyway. But I don't know why we do that. Like, why do we hold certain genres in esteem and shit on the rest of them? We shouldn't do that.
I don't know if that'll ever end. I'm just I just don't know. You know, people don't care anymore because they've lost people's interest. Obviously, you know, like the ratings from 20 years ago to now when Gladiator won, like 40 million people were like, yeah, this is great. I'm enjoying this. And now, when Nomadland wins, it's like 4 million people are like, cool, neat. and we move on with our night, and people like us care because we want it to be good. We desire for it to be something special. And that just shouldn't be too much to ask. But, fucking hell, man. Coco is so special and such a missed opportunity. I'm glad it won, the animated, and it gets boxed in just an animated and original song, but this is a special movie. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's just so good. And while it's not like one of my 3 or 4 favorite Pixar movies, it's possibly their best overall film.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. It's a 10 for me, and it is in my top 5. Constantly flip-flopping with Toy Story for the 1 and 2 spot. It's an endless battle in my mind whenever one of these films come up. I'm like, well, is it today? Is it Toy Story or Coco today? I feel like Two-Face flipping his fucking coin.
Yeah, I make my own luck.
Yeah.
Miguel.
But yeah, it's a beautiful movie. I urge everyone to check it out, and I'm excited to highlight my favorite things about it.
Yeah, me too, man. So let's lighten up the mood here. I'm not trying to. These moments I think are really good for especially you and I, Connor, to kind of reckon with like where we're at and be self-aware of like what we're doing on this show. And there's whatever 50 movies nominated at any given ceremony. We're always going to pick the movies that we just kind of gravitate towards and that we want to talk about. The Oscars aren't always just shit movies. They just miss a lot of opportunities. And it's always interesting to kind of pick a ceremony like the 90th Academy Awards and find what those missed opportunities were. And it happens to be Coco, which is crazy. Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture, right? Animated. Toy Story 3, Up. Why not Coco? What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know what an animated movie has to do to get, it's like Happy Gilmore in the fucking gold jacket. It's like, it's just as good. So why aren't you including it? Like, I don't know. It's a hot button issue. I think, horror films, superhero films, animated films, comedies, sci-fi is just now starting to get included in a grand scale. It's an ongoing battle that I feel like it's constantly pushed back every time the Academy doesn't try. So at this point, are we even playing the same game? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's just we're like fucking old Bruce Wayne, where it's like, what am I doing? What is this? Am I doing the right thing? It's so great. But I know one thing we're doing right is picking films, and at the end of every episode, we always make sure we shout out what we actually loved about it. And for Coco, we're going to have some awards here. We have the Quentin Tarantino Award for the best quote of the movie. We have the Ennio Morricone Award for best music moment. This one has a lot. We have the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for best vocal performance of the movie. And then finally, we have the Roger Deakins Award for the best scene of the movie. Speaking of Roger Deakins, I did it didn't take much research. Last week we talked about Batman Begins. We talked about some fucking Batman shit, and we talked about animated Batman movies, and we just kind of had the general thought of like, what does the crew do on an animated movie? Like, what does a cinematographer do? And essentially, the reason Deakins reminded me of it was because Deakins was the cinematographer for Rango. And what they do essentially is, and this is what they do a lot of the time on films, is they are students and masters of cinematographers are students and masters of cameras and figuring out what at any given point in the story, what makes the most sense for where the camera should be. So if I'm doing a big car chase scene, well, sometimes I want to be right behind the car. Sometimes I want to be in the car watching the guy driving. Sometimes I want to be from a bird's eye view, seeing both cars going, and that's up to the cinematographer to kind of figure out at what point during the day or night when I'm filming, what kind of lens should I use, where should I put this thing. And with animated movies, it's very similar. Deakins was a consultant on Rango and was like, hey, when we do these bar scenes, you should probably capture from this point of view or capture from this point of view and then swap to this. And then when we're doing the big, huge chase scene in the middle of the desert, you should probably do a lot of overhead shots so we can see how many creatures are involved in this. And I think that's really cool. What a cool job to work on an animated film and be like, hey, I think if we were from Miguel's point of view for this scene, it'd be the strongest. It would be the most relatable. It would be the most impactful. And I love that. I think Coco's cinematography is like fucking incredible. And there's many times where I'm like, holy shit, that was the perfect decision. Perfect decision to film it from there, from that angle, from that perspective. And I thought that was really neat, and it got me thinking about all my favorite animated movies and just kind of like, wow, whoever made those decisions is a genius.
Isn't that an amazing testament to the skill of these cinematographers, that they can be pitched a scene and visualize it animated the way they would behind a camera and be able to tell somebody exactly what they see so they can translate that into an animated storyboard? That's an unbelievable talent. I can't imagine doing that. It's like me trying to turn one of my books into a fucking musical score. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
It's breathtaking. Those guys are the true heroes. Are the true heroes of filmmaking.
They really are. It's unreal. That's one thing that this show has really pushed me towards, is a incredibly powerful new respect of cinematographers.
Yes. Same here, my friend. Same here.
Goddamn.
Okay. All right. Let's start from the top. Quentin Tarantino, what do you got?
I only have one line here, and it's from Ernesto de la Cruz, and it's actually pretty good advice, despite him being a monster. One cannot deny who one is meant to be. It's basic, but it's a great life lesson that you can take with you. If what you want is truly what you want, you've got to go for it. You can't deny what you want from life. And it's important to chase your dreams. I believe that. I mean, maybe don't kill your best friend and take his songs, but find your own music,
Yeah. Find your own rhythm. Yeah. So cool. So fucking cool. I remember just kind of hearing that. Obviously I've seen this movie a handful of times, but that was the first time last night when I watched it, that was the first time I truly heard it. And it resonated with me. That happens to me a lot with movies where sure you hear everything, but there's a distinction between hearing something and actually taking it in and reckoning with it. So very cool, and such a kind of a cool underlying quote for this villain. Who goes on to have a few amazing quotes that are just so dark. I chose something kind of upbeat because the rest of my shit's fucking tough as hell. I chose this little bit of dialogue between Miguel when he's realizing what's going on with all these dead people are around him, and his aunt Victoria, Tia Victoria. He's like, "This isn't a dream. Then you're all really out there. You thought we weren't." He says, "Well, I don't know. I thought it might have been one of those made-up things adults tell kids, like vitamins." And Tia Victoria says, "Miguel, vitamins are a real thing." Miguel's running, and he's like, "Well, now I'm thinking they might be." Such a good little Pixar moment. So cute, but so funny because Pixar nails that shit every time with the kind of the real life thoughts that we have. There's been so many times, not now, but when I was a child, that I was like, vitamins? What does this really do for me? Why am I eating these little chewy fucking bears that, what's really happening to my body because of these? You know what? Parents are right. You should take your fucking vitamins.
Well, it's also a point that, we're kind of, as adults, I don't have kids, but I have a lot of friends who have kids, and you got to lie to your kids. You got to tell them, I'm actually very curious. Like once Willow starts asking questions, like what direction you're going to take with that.
Yeah. I will probably take from Pixar, and apply it to my own life.
Nice.
Genius. Ennio Morricone Award, music. This movie it's all about music. So this is really tough, but I knew where I was going right away. What do you got?
This and my Deacons I wrote down immediately. This is when Miguel learns that Hector is actually his great-great-grandfather, and Hector reminisces about his daughter Coco, and we get to see Hector sing "Remember Me" his way to Coco.
Oh, God.
I can't watch it without falling apart. It was amazing. Like immediately, like I just felt this weight sink and I started sobbing again. And I'm like, yeah, this is that kind of film. I'm never going to not feel something from this. And it's beautiful because you get to see what this song really means to Hector, what this song is supposed to be. And it's so sweet and endearing, especially knowing that she never saw him again. It's, oh God.
Super tough. That's like one of the best scenes of the movie. One of the best scenes Pixar has ever done. Great shit. I figured I wrote two down, and I figured you might go there, so I wrote another one down that I like just as much, and it's a little bit more subtle, but also teaches you a lot about the reality of this movie. It's when Hector sings "Everyone Knows Juanita" to Chicharron, and he's about to fade away, right? And so Hector's like, "Okay, well, I need that guitar from you," and he's like, "Well, you got to earn it, baby. You got to earn that thing." And so he says, "What do you want me to play?" And Chicharron is like, "Well, my favorite." And he's like, Juanita. It's such a cool little moment. And he sings the song, and then Chicharron fades away, and that's it. And Miguel is so confused. He's like, "Well, what just happened?" And he's, well, he's like, even when you die and you go to the land of the dead, if you get forgotten by the people that knew you, then you're double dead. It's like it's your last death. And I thought that was, especially the first time I saw this, I was like, holy shit, that is such a fascinating thought, right? Where it could just be this thing where, oh, you're always here, you're like everlasting after, it's kind of like heaven, you just continue forever. But there's this thing where it's like, no, like this is another life. This is the afterlife, and you can also die here as well. You can be forgotten, and that's death. That's your last death. And I just think that is such a fascinating thought. And it's equally fascinating to think about these people, especially in Latino communities, the ofrenda, right? Having the pictures of everybody. And if your picture's not up, like you're not a memory anymore, and no one's going to remember you, generations past you. So that's like the point of the movie in some ways, is Hector is like, I've got to figure this shit out. I want to go back. I want to see the people I want to see Coco. And we don't know that when he sings "Everybody Knows Juanita." We don't know what is about to happen, what all this movie entails. And it's just such a cool plot moment. And not only that, if I were to make a Coco 2 would be a prequel about Hector hanging out in the slums of the land of the dead with these people who are about to be forgotten. What a fascinating idea. And watching Hector kind of is in his own little niche, his environment is something I could watch for 3 fucking hours. I love Hector, and you can guess who my fucking PSH is.
It's a very powerful idea that you can be forgotten, and the idea that there'll be a point on this earth where nobody alive remembers who you were or what you did for the world, and that there's some of us who will not. There's a few generations will be gone forever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's frightening to know that.
It's very frightening.
And it inspires you to want to make something that lasts, be that, family or something creative. Like you want to make your impact on this world somehow so that generations, even if they just know your name, they know you did something. And yeah, this movie, it's inspiring.
Yeah, it makes you think about like your morals. It makes you think about not being lazy and not just being someone who's like, nothing matters. It really makes you think about no, like the people who care about you, do matter and like are worth your presence and worth your time and are worth your thoughts. That fucking matters. Like,
yeah,
what and I think when you like deal with like death in your family, you just Coco just means more to you. I only have one grandparent left, and I've often, my grandfather, my dad's dad, my grandfather died when I was 6, and I don't remember him very well, and that's so frightening. And then my other grandfather, my mom's dad, died when I was 11, and I still have some pretty good memories of him. He was awesome. He was a fucking like true Texan, and he worked for Frito-Lay, and he had the coolest fucking like kind of monotone voice that just made me feel like that's my grandpa, And then my mom's mom passed away when I was 18, and I was just completely rocked by that death. And I still have one grandma left, my dad's mom. And so it's like this movie's going to make you think about them. it's going to make you think about them, and kind of me teaching my daughter, hey, these people were cool and they impacted me. There's no reason that they can't impact you just because they're not here. That's fucking cool. That's really fucking cool.
Absolutely, man. My grandma's been really into that genealogy thing, tracing our family lineage. So she's been finding like ancestors and people in our family tree and telling us their stories. And
so cool.
It's very impactful and powerful. And I'm in a rare situation where I haven't lost any family, and I am dreading the day when it inevitably happens. I try not to think about it.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to fucking destroy me, and I don't want to face that.
Yeah. Well, like I'll be honest with you, man. Like movies like this, like you'll be able to lean on them. Like you really will. Like it's like there for a reason. Like this was created for a reason, and that's a pretty cool thing, So hats off to the people at Pixar for understanding what humans go through. I love that moment at the 92nd Academy Awards. Yeah, 92nd Academy Awards when Bong Joon-ho goes up and he's like, the stories that mean the most are the ones that are closest to us. And he says, that's a quote from the great Martin Scorsese. And Martin Scorsese's like, holy shit, and like that clearly Coco was made by someone who has gone through some shit and understands what loss is and how to deal with it and how to cope with it and put your best foot forward. That's all you can ask for.
Oh, beautiful, man. Jesus Christ. Whew. Yeah. Who'd you have for your Philip Seymour Hoffman?
It's Hector. Gail Bernal Garcia, my guy. I love this guy to death. He's become one of my favorite actors, mainly because of Y Tu Mama Tambien, Alfonso Cuarón's film, and then Amores Perros from 2000. Life's a Bitch, and then that's what it's in English. And Y Tu Mama Tambien is And Your Mama Too, and Your Mother Too. And he is lights fucking out in those two movies. Amores Perros is by Alejandro Iñárritu. So him and Cuarón are like two of the greatest, Spanish-speaking directors of all time, and both those movies are all in Spanish. And I've kind of taken a liking to Mexican filmmaking over the past couple of years, and not just Mexican filmmaking, but Spanish. Pedro Almodovar, Argentina's Lucrecia Martel. Those people like more like pretty impactful in my life at this point, and I think Spanish is like the coolest fucking language. It's so beautiful, and Bernal Garcia, has just found his niche, and with the acting world, and his vocal performance as Hector is one of my favorites of all Pixar. One of my favorites of all animated movies ever. Hector is the fucking man. He's the ghostwriter. He's the guy who is the real genius. I love people like that. And I love stories about people like that.
Yeah, as do I. I also picked Hector.
Gotta be. How can you go anywhere else, you know?
Gael Garcia Bernal kills it as Hector. It's this great, it's kind of a pity party at first. Like, woe is me. I've got no family. It's over. But, this kid might give me another shot. And as the movie progresses, we learn why he's so in the dumps, why he lost everything, how he, was betrayed by his best friend, and just the seething and the resentment and the pain is replaced by a love for his family. And I just love seeing this guy kind of move past the darkness, because light is all he wants. All he wants is to be forgiven and to be loved by his family again. And that's his drive. I love it. Even in the end, when Miguel loses the photograph and we think we're going to lose Hector, Hector's like, it's okay. Just go home and don't do what I did. Love your family. It's beautiful. And then just having, knowing he made it is so happy, so satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's one of those Pixar endings that doesn't feel gimmicky at all, but it's like, it's happy. It's like a happy, like, fuck yeah, and his impact on Miguel is obviously so massive. And it makes you think about, if there's not even people who are related to you, but, or even someone you even know, there's always someone you're kind of chasing. Whether it could be a different facets of your life. You could be chasing, if you're a writer, you're like, oh, I'm chasing this writer. Like, this guy was just the fucking man, or a filmmaker, or an artist, whatever it is, or musician, you're just always kind of like looking up to them and not emulating them, but chasing them. You're like chasing some kind of ghost. That's like, I want to be as good as that. Doesn't mean I have to be the same as them, but I want to be as good. And that's like such a huge drive in people's lives. And clearly for Miguel, Hector was that the whole time. He thought it was Ernesto de la Cruz. Really, it was Hector, his great-great-grandfather. So fucking awesome. Shit, man. The Deacons. The Deacons, the best scene of the movie. What'd you pick?
Oh, I wrote this down immediately. It's when Miguel gets Coco to remember her father.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. It is impossible to watch that scene without completely falling apart and feeling every emotion you've ever had come out at once. It is so beautiful. And just seeing her, like the smile form on her face as she remembers the lyrics and starts singing it with Miguel. And you're just like, yes, she didn't forget him. And it's, oh boy, man. Oh God, it's one of the most beautiful scenes of love ever put to film. And I'm entranced by it.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down too. That bit, I love. I like last night. Again, this is a handful of times of watching it. That bit, that's what you're focused on. You're focused on Coco and Miguel, and you're like, okay, this is why the movie's called Coco. This is the moment. But for me, it's the reaction from the other family members that are like, wait a minute, something bigger than us is happening right now. And the dad, Miguel's dad, holds back the grandmother and is like, wait. Like, he might have something here. He might get some life out of her. Like, isn't that worth it? Isn't that worth playing a little bit of motherfucking music? Like, isn't that worth it? And they let it happen. Like, they let this beautiful moment happen between these generations, And what's so cool about that, like, I thought so many times while watching it last night, I thought about, okay, so you got Miguel, you got his parents, then you got Coco, and then you got fucking Hector and Imelda. Like, it's this just beautiful tree of life. Like, it's so beautiful. And I was like, I want to hang out with them. I don't care if they're animated, I don't care if they're fucking cartoons. I want to hang out with these people. Um, uh, yeah, God, I love this movie. As I'm just talking about it, it's like, why is this not a 10 in my mind? It's that good. My fiance is like obsessed with it. It's I think it's her favorite Pixar movie of all time. She just is like a wreck when she watches it, and like anyone with a pulse would be, it's very important in my household for sure.
That's beautiful, man. It's I recently was able to introduce it to my family and they all felt something from it. So I'm very excited to now give them that. Yeah, this is such a gem. I've never had a film affect me like this. Like I've never sobbed alone in my apartment watching a movie before. I mean, I've had tears, but this was full blown crying. It was so powerful. I think about that from time to time. Just these films that have the power to do that should not be forgotten. They should be put on our ofrenda and remembered forever.
Well fucking said. Hell yeah, man. Coco. Jesus. What a fun episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the Oscar Hall of Fame, the Character Hall of Fame, and enjoyed us raving about Coco and kind of talking some shit about the Oscars. This is a fun, jam-packed episode. I do think next week is gonna be something for the ages as well with what we're doing. But before we get to that, tomorrow on Sneak Preview, we will be doing Turning Red and the Adam Project. So be on the lookout for that. It's more Pixar action. Turning Red is again a film I haven't seen yet, but I'm excited to watch with my daughter whenever she's ready to sit down and pay attention for a couple hours. And then on Filmgazm, Wednesday, The Sacrament. Who's gonna be doing that?
Probably Caleb. Ty West has a new horror film coming out next Friday called X. So we thought it'd be fun to go back through Ty West's career, pick something neat. The Sacrament was something I hadn't seen before, but had been on my radar for a long time. It's a film inspired by Jonestown, so it's going to be fucked up. Very excited.
Hell yeah. Good call. And then Friday, Beyond the Bad, we got Strangeland. It's a movie I have not seen, but I've heard plenty about.
Yeah, it's another Caleb and Josh episode. This is written by Twisted Sister frontman Dee Snider, so it's his baby, and I've heard it's fucking weird. So I'm sure they're gonna have a blast digging into that one. Can't wait to hear it.
Hell yeah, man! And then finally, next week on this show, it'll be March 20th. We just got a couple motherfucking weeks till the actual Oscars. You got to be kidding me! I gotta watch some movies. Next week will be episode 94, Oscar Sunday. We're gonna do 1939's Wizard of Oz, an absolute classic. It won Best Original Song and Best Original Score, and was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Art Direction, and Best Special Effects. So we will be, talking about that film, probably talking about the impact it had on the film, on film history, and giving out awards to it. So that'll be a lot of fun. We haven't gone to the 30s in a long time, so feels right to kind of go back and do a movie that is still influential today, right before the Oscars. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, fair warning. I fucking love The Wizard of Oz. So I am very excited for next week.
I can't say if I like it. I just haven't seen it that many times, and I haven't seen it in years. So I'm excited to go back, revisit it with this lens, give it awards, and really break down what it's all about, So it's got a lot going for it. In 1939, it looked fucking spectacular. So we'll talk a lot about, Technicolor and all the things that it kind of inspired, again, in cinematic history. So this is a lot of fun, man. Coco, this is one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Just felt really special to kind of go to that part of our brains and really mull it over and talk about it. So thank you guys for being with us. Follow us on social media. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Filmgazm, as always. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.